Hello, welcome to RC Video Reviews on the February 23rd, Friday, February 23rd, Pilot Jam. And again, missed last week, man, due to work. It's crazy. Work's good. I mean, it's good problem to have, but buddy, I'm putting in the time, I'll tell you that. So I'm definitely a little bummed about, the inability sometimes to make the Pilot Jam. So, but you gotta put the bread on the table, and that's just the way that is, right? I know you guys understand that. At any rate, it's been a good week. We got quite a bit done this week, and I have a lot of stuff planned for you guys. We have a lot to talk about tonight, and I kind of feel like there's this groundswell of movement and momentum coming, and I'll explain it as we go. But there are things inbound. That's all I can really tell you. We'll get into it tonight, though. So anyway, Hobie was first on the like game, so good job. Hobie got in right away, real quick, and first on the like button. So thank you for that. And yeah, if you guys can hit the like button, I definitely appreciate it when you do that. Likes are free, right? Just a quick little thing. It helps with the video placement. It helps the channel get recognized by YouTube. So if you guys hit the like button, that's awesome. I appreciate you. But, if not, that's fine too. Just do you. That's what's important. Glenn Chia, man, I like where Glenn's head is. He says, I'm just about to go fly something, man. That is the best thing I can hear. If I could go fly something every day, that's what I would do. Have fun, Glenn. I hope you have a good time. Dan Griffiths is in the house. How you doing, Dan? Good to see you. Mitch Gentry, hello from Illinois, is here. Keith is here from Massachusetts, right, Keith? Evening all, says Hobie from South Florida. We already knew that, though. Tom Evans is here. How you doing from Utah? Good to see you, Tom. Patrick Henry, hello everyone. Hope everybody enjoyed some flight time. Man, I'm gonna complain tonight about the weather. So Patrick says, I hope everyone enjoyed some flight time through mid to late February. March winds blow, so get it while you can. Let's see. Todd Koffler is here. Hello. Bill is here. How you doing, Bill? Dudes, he says. Philip Jang from Australia is in the house. How you doing, Philip? Glad you could make it, man. William Tam is here. Hello, William. And let's see. Captain Brian. Hello. Hey. Oh, Brian. Brian, we're going to talk. Brian, stick around. Don't go anywhere. We're going to talk. I have questions. We have stuff to cover. So it's exciting times. Exciting times, all I can tell you. Anyway, let's do a week in review, and then we're going to get right into content. So the first video since the last Pilot Jam, we missed last week, of course, but the first video was Edge Auto Idle Up, and I got a lot of comments on that. People in Discord and on the videos that say, oh man, this is great. Thanks for sharing it. And that was really a result of me listening to people who have more experience than I do with bigger electric motors and asking questions about what's the deal here. And I guess it's a thing. And right now it seems to be the one thing that I've been able to find that works. So I'll be using that auto idle up feature on the bigger stuff. I don't really have that problem on smaller motors so much, just really the bigger ones, like the 35cc and bigger is where I see it. So it's a good little technique. And what's cool about that is that I actually got I got an email from one of my sponsors, and and he said, hey, we have this issue with Radio Master. He said, first off, we learned everything about Radio Master from you, which really made me feel good, because it's a lot of work to make this material, and we put in the time, I put in the effort, I buy the hardware, I do the hours, I do the experimentation, I do the video shooting and the editing and publishing. And to hear somebody say, hey, everything I learned about this radio, I learned from you, so thank you. It really made my heart warm to hear that. But anyway, he said, I have this little problem. I'm wondering if you can help out. And it was actually related to the MT12, the surface radio, and they were looking for traction control on throttle. And I said, hey, it's funny you said that, because I just did a video on auto idle up that I think, based on the description you gave me, could probably help you with your problem. And we talked about it a little bit. I pointed him to the video, and I told him, if it doesn't work or if you need any further information, give me, get a hold of me. And of course I will help. But it was just a cool call, man. I just really enjoyed it. It was just a great call. I was so glad to be able to not only help, but to further help, and to be that helpline from somebody in the business. So I thought that was cool. And then next up was the Extreme Flight laser, the 67-inch EXP, the laser EXP RXR first look. And On that plane, all I can say is that the 60-inch was beautiful. And I used 60-inch in past tense. I did sell it to Dave. Dave got that plane. Dave really liked that plane during our shootout. If you remember, we did the 60-inch shootout. Dave really liked that one. And now I have a bunch of 67-inch planes, and I fly better. So maybe there's another shootout coming. I'm just saying, maybe. If there's interest in it, we'll see. But yeah, the 67-inch laser, once Extreme Flight started going down the road of making 67-inch planes, I was on high alert for the laser. And then they started doing the RXRs. Now I'm on triple high alert for the laser. And then we were at the field for the RCVR fly-in. And during the fly-in, our Extreme Flight showed up, and I got to fly the 67-inch laser. And Dave, man, Dave was so funny because he goes, after it was all done, we turned the plane off, we turned the radio off, and I walked back to, you know, my pit area where I was working on my stuff. And Dave kind of mocked me a little. He goes, I got to fly the laser. I got to fly the laser. He goes, that's the way John's walking back to his pits. And I kind of, what's funny about it is that's kind of how I felt. Because I got to fly the 67-inch laser before it got released. So Dave is so fun, man. He makes flying a lot of fun. I love hanging out with him, and it was he was not wrong about that. I'll put it that way. I hope I wasn't dancing like he did though, because he did look a little light on the loafers, just a touch. But you know, whatever. It was all fun, man. It was good. It was good stuff. And I waited and waited and waited, and then, you know, when we were there, I asked Tim, I said, hey, Tim, when is this coming out, man? And he said, oh, I think, you know, the container's either here or it's going to be here next week. So we're expecting it like first week of February. And if you guys don't know, the old school of you will know that if you're using a web browser and you hit F5 on a page, that reloads the page. I figuratively smashed my F5 key to bits, reloading that page once that plane was supposed to be there. But so glad they got it, and they got it out the door, and oh, there it is right there. There it is, the 67-inch laser. And I really, really like that plane. That is probably the best overall airplane I've ever flown. And to see it in the 67-inch format, oh man, I was just so excited. So I sold my 60-inch and saved my money and got the 67-inch, and I'm really looking forward to getting that one up in the air. And hopefully that'll be this weekend. So that was the first look, and then of course we got the PilotJam. So anyway, I'll check the comments, then we're gonna get moving. Let's see. Captain Bryce says howdy Hobie, and Hobie says howdy Captain Bry. Dave's here. Wolfie, how you doing, my friend? Dave got himself a laser. Yeah, he did. Yes, he did. He did. I saw it. He told me, and he blamed me for it, which I'm all right with that. Hey, Rob Burrow's in the house. Cool, Rob. Hey, Rob's around. Oh, we got Rob and Brian. I got everything I need to cover some of the tech we're going to talk about tonight. So, Rob, glad you could make it, man. If you guys don't know, Rob is like he's like on Discord. He's like my sage, man. He's one of the guys that helps me out a lot. Rob helps me out with tech. We talk, we exchange ideas, we work together on problems, and Rob is probably more of a member of the channel than I think most of you know. I would say every bit a member as Dave and Freddie. We work together a lot. So Rob, glad you could make it, man. Captain Bryce says, uh-oh, don't worry, Bry. All good stuff, man. All fun stuff, man. Fun, good stuff. Hobie says, sweet looking plane. Hobie, this will not be an RCVR 2 plane, buddy. I'm just telling you, if you want one, you're going to have to go crack that wallet out at Extreme Flight. So let's see. Robert Orlet's in the house. How you doing, Robert, from Canada? Hobie, hopefully put in all the stuff you like. Nope. Not getting this one. Not getting the laser. Ain't going to happen. I saw the smile on your face after that flight. It was nice, man. It was nice. John is like a kid in a candy store. With that laser, I am. That laser is really, to me, it's a very special airframe. It's just a high-performance plane. Greg Ertman, curious what your thoughts are about the 67EF laser compared to the 67-inch 260, right? Greg's on it, man. Greg, you're on the topic. You know, I have to be careful, though, and I think you guys know this. I say this in so many of my videos, that these planes outfly me. I do the best I can, but there's no doubt in my mind the planes can do more than I can do. And that's just evidenced by me watching the pros fly them. I simply can't approach that level of skill yet. I'm working on it. You know, it's a journey, right? So I try to improve, but all I can say is the planes outfly me. And, you know, Antonio said something kind of insightful. He said, you know, I've also worked support for extreme flight. And what I would say is there are no bad planes, just bad setups. And I kind of agree with that a little bit in the sense that I think before you blame the plane, you really have to make sure you're set up right. That's the way I would phrase that one. But yeah, so it will be an interesting comparison. But you're on the money, Greg, on the 67s. I think I've got critical mass now because I've got the Skywing 67-inch laser. I've got the Skywing ARS 300 67-inch. I've got the laser, EF laser, EXP 67-inch, and I've got the Extra 260. So that kind of sounds like a shootout to me. That kind of sounds like a shootout. I think it's necessary. And lots of people are curious about how I feel about the different 67-inch planes. So Fast Freddy just stumbled into the channel, drinking, no doubt. You having a few slugs, Fred? He's not even in the first game this time. All right, I think there goes the neighborhood, says Robert. That's right. That's right. That's right, Rob. That's funny. There goes they let anybody in this place. We're gonna have to talk to management. All right, ELRS gyro. So okay, I told you guys Rob's here and Captain Bry's here, and they are perfect for this because I'm gonna just tell you guys first off, I haven't done it yet, but I've seen it, and Rob shared a quick little video, and he pinged me in Discord and said, "Hey, it works great." So I'm going to give you a little bit of a look at what's going on. So give me just a second. We're going to bring up a video here. And why is that rim shot playing? That's kind of crazy. Okay, here we go. This is just a little snippet to give you a taste of what's coming up. Okay, just a little taste. So here it is. That is a Beta FPV 14-channel PWM receiver. And if you notice on top, there's this little tiny circuit board, and as you see Rob, that's Rob. He's moving the receiver, and you can see the servos doing their little dance. So that is an Express LRS receiver with gyro integrated on the receiver. So the two guys here that know more about it than me, Brian, I would ask Brian, anything you can share in the comments, Brian. Love to hear it in terms of ETA, you know, what's the thought process. I can tell you guys, if you ask the question, where do I get it? How do I get it? Just realize this is not in the main release version of Express LRS yet. You have to get a special fork of Express LRS and then compile it and, you know, build it and install it and all that stuff. So I just want you to know that it's not. So please don't go badgering the Express LRS guys. They'll put it in when they're good and ready to put it in. Okay. But there is a fork of it, and it does work. So we know that. That's the cool part, which is that means this is a forward-looking comment, right? It's a forward-looking feature set. So there's Rob demonstrating the gyro, and notice that it's just kind of stuck on top of the receiver there. He's showing how the gyro works with an Express LRS receiver, which is so cool. I'm very excited about this part because to me, this is the one like really remaining gap in the fixed wing portfolio for Express LRS, and that's stabilization because a lot of people still use it. And hopefully we're going to see this in an integrated format. So what I'd like to see, hopefully in production, is one of these manufacturers picking it up and adding that gyro capability to an encased receiver, so we get a fully integrated Express LRS stabilized receiver, you know, 8 channels, 16 channels of output, whatever, VBAT, and all the other Express LRS goodness. To me, that is, man, that's going to be like game, set, and match, buddy. I got news for you. That is it for me. That's the last gap. So that's the gyro. And then the next thing I wanted to show you really quickly is the board. That's the board that Rob used. And thanks again to Rob for pointing it out, sharing his clip. And this board, the link for this board is in the description. So if you want to try it out, and if you're inclined to do this kind of testing, go grab the board, and you'll have to do a little reading to figure out how to wire it. You know, you'll have to check the PR and figure out how to wire, or sorry, not the PR, but the fork, and figure out how to wire it and get it wired up to your receiver, and you can try it out. But there's the gyro. Link for that gyro is in the description. You get them on Amazon for $6. So think about that for just a minute, okay? The gyro retail is $6, $7. And we know we can get a Happy Model EPW6 for $14. So right now you're looking at about $21 best case, if you look at maybe more like an encased receiver, like a ER6, for example, that's about $25, right? $25, $30. Add another $6. So, or maybe $8. So you're looking at like, 30, what are we looking at? $38 or so, maybe $35, $38, $40 for an Express LRS stabilized receiver. Fingers crossed. I'm not telling you that's what it's going to be. I'm making my prediction. I'm hoping that that's where it comes in, somewhere around $35, because that's going to be pure win if that's the case. So Bry says Bry says it's being developed in the public in the development gyro subgroup. It is for 3.5. There you go. 3.5. That's the thing we're looking for. Very, very nice, man. And so if you guys don't know, 3.4 right now is in feature freeze. So that means 3.5, that's the next one. So yes, we're going to see gyro support in Express LRS in the next release, according to Captain Bry. You heard it here first, folks. This is where the cool kids hang out, man. I'm telling you, this is where it all happens on the PilotJam. So anyway, yeah, how about that? A stabilized Express LRS receiver, right? How cool is that? I'm like, yes. And just so you guys know, I already ordered the gyro. I'm going to try it out. I'm going to get one and, I'll work on it and see if I can come up with a configuration that works. And, if it's warranted, I'll do the video. And Rob already did the work. So I already have kind of a place, a source to go, ping for information. But Rob already kind of did the work. So he says, yeah, it's actually the SDL, SDA pins. I'm not quite enough of an expert to know why those pins though. So, okay, we're talking about the pinouts. Anyway, there you go. So Express LRS gyro on the way. I'm excited. That's good news. Amazing news. Good news. Okay, before I go into the next topic, I'm going to step out of order here and bring up not Q&A. I want to talk about a PC update. So if you guys, if you watch the last PilotJam, I do go back and watch the PilotJams to see how I can improve. The idea is constant improvement. And one of the things I noticed in the PilotJam was this jerks and thing that was going on in the video. And I started doing a little research, trying to figure out what happened. You guys know about a year and a half ago, I upgraded my PC and I was like, man, I haven't had really any problems with anything. And now all of a sudden I'm getting these issues. It was not network related because I get the network stats on YouTube. So I started looking into the hardware and I ran a few tests and I thought, oh my gosh, for some reason my video card is getting crushed. And I thought maybe it has to do with the fact that I'm doing the PilotJam at 4K and I'm also running all of my little sidebar videos. Those are also the source file 4K videos. So I kind of thought maybe I'm just doing too much work with my video card. So I upgraded my video card and in the process, my hard drive died. My SSD drive where I store all of the PilotJam stuff died. Fortunately, I had copies. I was able to get, my copies. But there was the problem. It turned out to be a hard drive problem. So I'm hoping maybe you guys can tell me in the chat. I'd love to hear it. If we're doing okay on the video and, I'll move my hands around to see if we have fluid movement. Hopefully everything's good again. But, I did have to do a PC update. I stripped out an old hard drive, replaced it. I stripped out an old video card and replaced it. So we did some updates. But at the end of the day, hopefully it makes the experience better. But, I'm telling you guys this because I want you to know I do pay attention, right? I did see that problem after the video was over. And weirdly, nobody said anything about it. In fact, I think it was Rob. Rob said, yeah, I noticed that. I just thought it was YouTube being stupid, which, sometimes that is what it is, but not in this case. It was due to a hardware problem. So anyway, I just wanted to let you guys know that there was a PC update and I was barely able to get going for tonight's PilotJam because I had some wires I had to rejigger to get things up and running again. But anyway, we're back in business and I'm hoping the quality of the video is good. So videos are perfect. And what brand new laptop? No, it wasn't a new laptop. It was a desktop. So the desktop is still there. The CPU is still there. The video card was a RTX 3070. And like I said, when I did, after I noticed the jerkiness issue on the PilotJam, I did a streaming test and I looked at my performance monitor for hardware while that was going on, and I saw the GPU was actually pegged. And I thought, oh, well, that must be the problem because I'm running a 4K stream into YouTube and that's 4K getting compressed down and being transmitted simultaneously. So it's decoded and then re-encoded in with the stream and sent up to YouTube. And I thought maybe because I'm doing all this 4K stuff now, maybe that's the problem. That's why I thought video card, but no, it turned out it was the hard drive. So hopefully that's all resolved now and we'll be back in business. So it says, looks good from Maryland, says Bill. Videos are perfect. Okay. All right, good. Thanks for the feedback, guys. I appreciate you. I just wanted to let you know I do pay attention. I spotted a problem. I took corrective action, and we're back in business again. Okay, so that's the PC update. All right, okay, we covered the gyro. Next up is the GPS speedometer, and I wanted to show you guys, I know I have this on the desk. We'll get to that in a minute. I wanted to show you guys, I know I've covered this before, but I wanted to show it again. And the reason I did it again is for coverage, is to make sure everyone got an eyeball on this one. So if you've seen this before, I'm sorry. You just go along for the ride. Maybe you forgot about it, but maybe you didn't order one yet, but go get one. But anyway, what I wanted to show you guys, this little, I put a link for this in the description as well. This is an affiliate link, by the way. So if you buy one, the channel gets a couple nickels. But just so you're aware, they're available on Amazon. And here's the deal. What I like about these, if you want to know how fast your model is going, this is, let me see. I'm trying to see if I can find something. Here, I have something. Everyone should recognize the size of one of these. So let's grab this thing. Here we go. So there's an SD card, a micro SD card adapter. So I think everyone's familiar with the size of those. And then here it is from the side. So it's kind of thick, it's kind of thick, but the idea is that you can use this in your models to validate your airspeed, not your airspeed, your ground speed. No, it would not be ground speed. It would be airspeed. So this is how fast you're going to be moving through the air, not tracking over the ground. So GPS, miles per hour, you put this in the plane, turn it on, go fly. It doesn't need to be plugged into anything at all, and it'll lock the high value. So just so you know, I just wanted to share this with you. Link is in the description for this one if you want to get one. But you press the little button on the side, you can see your average speed, and then you can see your max speed right there. It's the little icon right there that says max. And then if you put it on this one that says now, that's your current speed. Okay. So average, max, and now. And it's just a little GPS meter you can put in your planes if you want to see how fast they go. I know a lot of jet guys are curious about it. They're curious about how fast their stuff goes. And some of those fast mover planes. Now, the downside is something like this is not going to fit in one of those really tiny planes. So like that extra, the Hobby King fast mover, the little extra, or the Rare Bears, those small ones, it's not going to fit in those. And you might be able to tape it underneath, strap it to the landing gear, do something like that. But in larger planes, really no problem. I've been able to stuff this in all kinds of different airplanes for testing. So I just wanted to share that with you. A little Psych Plus GPS meter. They're about 25. Oh, the other thing, there's a flash sale on these right now. Right now on Amazon, there's a flash sale. They're normally like $40 and they're selling them for like, I don't know, $25 or $29 or something. So when I went to get the affiliate link for it, I saw that they were having a flash sale. So if you want a GPS for your airplanes, you can figure out how fast they're going with one of these little guys. So again, I know I showed you that before, but I just wanted to kind of cover that again because not everybody catches it the first time around, Okay, next up, I wanted to do, there's a new segment that I've added to the PilotJam. It's called RC3D. And the reason I wanted to share, the reason I wanted to do this with you guys is to give you something new on the PilotJam to look into. And I also wanted to let you guys know that regarding my Etsy store, I'll be expanding the Etsy store to include certain 3D projects. Not all, certainly not all, but some. Certainly on my 3D inventions that I design, I can share those and put them on my Etsy store and sell them. On some, they're not commercial, so I can't put them on the Etsy store. It's not allowed. I can't make any money on them. So with that said, I just wanted to do a little segment on RC3D to show you some 3D objects you can make for radio control. And link for this one is in the description. I did not put a link for this one in the description yet. I'll cover this and tell you why, but I haven't done it yet. This one is in the description. And what this is this is an FPV monitor stand. And the reason I wanted to show you this is because this, for those of you who are into FPV, Brian, I know you are. This is really nice on the bench. So if you're on the bench doing some work, it's really nice to have a stand like this. You drop your panel in there, you turn it on, turn your panel on, and you can sit and work with your model and check out your screen while you're doing your work. Obviously, this is for an analog setup, but still a lot of people use analog. I know lots of people still use analog. So that's what that is. And it's a very simple print. There were no supports required, no tree, no nothing. Everything just prints flat. So really easy print. And then there's just a couple of screws. You put a couple of screws in to kind of bolt the vertical stand up. And then on the back side here, you just kind of glue that down. And then on the bottom, you can see I put in the little rubber feet to keep it from sliding around on the desk. So it's a nice little 3D printed stand for my FPV monitor when I'm working on setups for FPV. Cool, huh? So 3D printing, man. I tell you guys, I use stuff all the time. All the time I'm messing around 3D printing. Okay, so that's the monitor stand. Now let's talk a little bit about this one. This is a throw gauge. The idea behind this one is that if you have a digital gauge, you stick it in this little container. I don't have my gauge handy, but the idea is it clasps in there, and then this part you have to put a couple screws in through these two little holes right here, and they form a flat part, right? And then you stick it on your control surface, and then while it's on your control surface, you can check your throws. That's what that one's for. Now, the reason I didn't put a link in the description for this one is because the author did not tell what size gauge or what gauge is used in this enclosure. So I have a digital gauge, but mine didn't fit. I thought it would. I looked at it, I eyeballed it. I'm like, well, I'll give it a try and see what happens. So in my case, it didn't work. So I may get into Tinkercad and mess with this a little bit. I don't think it'll be too hard to do it to fit it for my gauge. And if you want it for yours, you might have to do some edits to get your gauge to work as well. But this is just another one of those little 3D objects in the hobby. Even if it's not this one per se, to give you an idea of the things you can accomplish with 3D printing for the hobby. So if you have a digital gauge, you can stick it in a clamp like this. And I'm telling you, it will not take me long to make this box. Simply crop this one off, make a new one, and attach it. I'll have this done in maybe 20 minutes. It won't take me long at all. So there you go. That's a digital throw gauge clamp for measuring your throws on your model. Now, because Rob's here and Rob heard me venting about this last night. You got to have a good gauge too. And I'm not sure that this is like 100% going to work because I'm not sure how rigid it's going to be or what the clamping force is going to be, but it's an idea, right? That's where these ideas start. You start with something like this and you say, well, I can improve this or that. Maybe I'll put a screw in here and clamp it down. Maybe I'll print this and make it much thicker so that it can be much more rigid. There are ideas. That's the point. You see what I'm saying? So just keep that in mind. But yeah, 3D printed a throw gauge for your models. So, and that's important. By the way, if you're going to fly any kind of precision at all, you need to do it, right? You got to measure your throws. So very important aspect of doing business in 3D. And then in the spirit of what I did last time, which is I'm also going to show you guys something that's not strictly RC related. I don't know. I know a lot of the younger guys are going to know what this is because my son loves these things. It's called if you don't know what this is called, it's a fidget spinner. And this uses 608 bearings. So the bearing, you can get these on Amazon. They're just 608 bearings. You can actually print bearings like this. They're nowhere near as good as the steel bearings. But the idea is that you just hold it like that and you're sitting here on a phone call. I sit during the workday on phone calls and I sit and spin this thing, and you just sit and mess around with it. It's a fidget spinner. It keeps you. I always have to be busy. So if you have to be busy doing something, this is a nice thing to kind of keep your OCD suppressed a little, I guess. Just a little fidget spinner. So you can print those. It's kind of cool. I love having them. 608 bearings, and yeah, that's a 3D printed fidget spinner. And what I like about them is I could just buy a stack of bearings. They have all different shapes. So if you need a different shapes fidget spinner, you can do that. Kids know what these are. So if you have a 3D printer, try a fidget spinner. They're kind of neat. They keep your hands busy. And if by the way, I don't smoke. I haven't smoked in like 30 years. If you're a smoker and you want to quit, these will keep your hands busy. People say that's one of the things smokers say all the time. Well, I got to keep my hands busy. Well, here you go. Get a fidget spinner and keep your hands busy. And then you won't be stuffing that cancer stick in your pie hole. Quit smoking. If you're a smoker, quit. It's terrible for you, man. That's going to kill you. You're paying good money to kill yourself. So quit. Smoking sucks. It's a terrible hobby. Terrible, terrible habit. Get rid of it. Kill it. Get rid of it. You don't need that in your life, man. Stop it. That was my public service announcement. All right, let's see. I'm going to check comments and we're going to get going again. SDL, GPS. Yeah, SDL and SDA GPS and compasses actually is what they're used for. Compasses. Oh, Robert got it. Yeah, Robert said compass right after that. Robert Burrows says it really works quite nicely. Minimal fiddling around, and I would say it's on par with the S6R. I can use care about rate mode. I only use or care about rate mode. And the other cool part, Lua. It's configurable in Lua already, right? So the Lua is already there, which is really super cool. Wind rejection mode. There we go. Very nice. Let's see. Ryan P says, hi, everyone. Running late, trying to get my new laser. Nice. Ryan got himself a laser. Very good. Can you make an analog gauge? Hobie, that's exactly what I'm thinking, dude. That's exactly what I'm thinking. And I'm thinking I might make it with the laser printer, the laser etcher, man. To be honest with you, I'm really thinking about that. I kind of want a mechanical analog gauge. So that's exactly what I'm thinking. In fact, I talked to some people about that tonight. I talked to Richard about KFab on Discord about it tonight because he knows mechanical engineering. So and there are some options on the web, but they all kind of suck. I looked at all of them. I don't like any. I did find one digital setup that's about $350, and I'm kind of actually tempted. I might do it and show you guys that one, but I don't know. That's a big pill to swallow but it's not just a throw gauge. It's also a scale and a CG meter. So I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about that one. But an analog gauge might be kind of nice. I usually use my phone. Yeah, I know. The phone, and by the way, if you don't know about that, you can get your iPhone out and it has a tilt meter built in, and a lot of people use that. In fact, Rob sent me a video. Jay Stussia's dad sets up his planes, and that's what he uses. He uses the phone app. So the problem is that with you still have to hold the phone on there or find a way to keep it on there. And for smaller planes, that might be a problem. Or for foam planes that don't quite have the same rigidity in the control surfaces, that also might be a problem unless you have a really small phone. So I don't know, man. I do get it. I do understand the nature of the phone, and I kind of, that is intriguing to me, but I don't know. I'd like to find something that's maybe a little more universal that might be useful on every kind of plane, not just the planes that have the big beefcake servos and controls that can support the weight of a phone. So let's see. John becoming a millennial. Yeah, I know, right? With my fidget spinner. I love my fidget spinner, man. The kids turned me on to this. Oh, and I found a folding cube one too. I gave to my son. He loves that one. But it's a print in place folding cube one, and it's just one of those infinite folding cubes. It's kind of cool. But looks like a good for light aircraft. But it looks good for light aircraft. Little way. Okay. All right. So that's it for chat. Next up, ceiling washers. This is another one from Rob. See what I mean? I'm telling you guys, man. Rob is the guy. All right, I put the link for these in the description as well. And here, I'm going to tell you, you're going to say, what the hell are we talking about ceiling washers for? And let me explain myself. I'm going to leave those there so you can see those. And I'm going to bring something else in. And here it is. So here's how this whole little thing got started. Dave, if you recognize, this is the canopy for the laser, the new one, the 67-inch laser. And if you guys fly these types of planes, one of the things you'll know is that when the canopy slides underneath the cowl up here, and this one does, so the cowl sits on top like that. When the canopy slides underneath, what happens is over time, this leading edge gets completely marred up by the cowl, right? The fiberglass cowl. It just scratches the hell out of it. And over time, it just kind of starts to look pretty bad. So the first thing that happened is, Dave noticed that on one of my planes that he bought from me, and he took it home. And the first thing he did was put a little strip of blue painter's tape. And all I did was I just laid the blue tape down, and then I took a really sharp razor and just cut it just right along that edge. It just went whoop, like that, and it was cut. Perfectly straight line, blue painter's tape. This is a new trick that I stole from Dave. Dave gets all the credit. Dave is a smart guy. He's been doing this for a long time. But there you go, little blue painter's tape. And now when you slide your canopy in and out of the model, you no longer scratch it up. That's how this got started. And then the follow on to that was that when you are screwing those cowls in, they have the metal. Normally when you screw a cowl, I can't put it on the table to show you. So you'll have to use your imagination a little bit. Okay. But when you take a screw and you screw it into the cowl, it's got a flanged washer head, and you got to screw that in. Now you want it tight enough so that it holds the cowl on the airframe without wobbling, but not so tight that you scratch the paint or crack it. And that's where these little rubberized sealing washers come in. I picked this up from Rob. And I know they work on the 60-inch planes. And I think, yeah, I've used them on the 67s too. But they're really kind of cool. I do have a link for these in the description. But here's the idea. You see that little rubber gasket, that little rubber seal? And that's got this kind of convex or concave cup to it. So the idea is that you put your screw right through the top there, and then you put it on your cowl when you screw it onto the airframe, and you screw it in. And what happens is two things happen. One, you kind of compress this washer onto the fuselage and the cowl just a little bit. But the second thing that happens is that rubber grips the surface. So the screw doesn't move. It doesn't vibrate. It doesn't move. It doesn't come out. And I can tell you, I've been using these on all of my planes for quite some time. I got a bag of 100 of them, and that's how many I've got left. But you get these on McMaster Car. And I'm going to show you something else too, just to show you guys how much I love you guys. So let's, I'm going to put this up here so you can see it. Right there, that's the image. The reason I'm sharing this with you is because on their website, it's kind of, the navigation is a little bit goofy. It's a little tricky. So I put the link in the description, and what you're looking for is this one, 94709A111. That's the one that I got, and that works for 60-inch, the 60-inch planes. You might want to go a little bit bigger for the 67-inch, or if you're in a bigger airplane, even bigger than that. But I just thought I'd share this with you because this is another solution I got from Rob. And the idea, again, behind these is to help protect. It's to protect your paint and to keep those screws from coming loose, because they do come loose. So I just wanted to share that with you, because sealing washers and tape on these front ends to help take care of your paint and the plastic parts on your nice new 67-inch airplane or whatever it is you're flying. It's kind of nice to not see them get damaged. And I don't mind seeing a little tape on there to protect it. That's fine. I'm okay with that. And by the way, when it is in the model, you don't see this tape at all. It's completely hidden by the cowl. It completely covers it up. All right, so there you go. A couple little tips on taking care of your airplanes and protecting the paint on that beautiful new Extreme Flight plane or Skywing plane that you're out there flying. Or AJ, or your Flex, or your Skywing, or your Legacy Aviation, or whatever it is you're into, man. You know how it is around here. It's all good, man, as long as you're flying. That's the important thing, right? Okay, that's it for the sealing washers. Again, link in the description for that, those sealing washers, if you want to get those. And they might be useful elsewhere. You might find that they're useful on things like landing gear, right? You might like that. Okay, next up, you guys, I know a lot of you guys are familiar with my RCVR setup models because a lot of you guys have been buying them. So thank you for that. Let's go back to the overhead camera. So the first thing I want to do is tell you that I have more of these in the store right now. So if you want one, they're available in the Etsy store. Link is in the description. So there is the RCVR 2. That's the wood, the laser cut wood version. And here is the RCVR 1. This was the OG model. This is the first one that I came up with. I made this in 3D. This is my design. It's an original design. I can sell this, and I just decided to go ahead and start selling it. I told you I was going to start filling out the Etsy store a little bit with some of my stuff. So the RCVR 2, this is the 3D printed version, and they're functionally identical. Like, they do the same exact thing. This one is 18 bucks. This one's like 25 bucks. And you say, well, wait, why is that one 25 bucks? And it's because it costs more material, time, and effort, right? This one, I can cut these out pretty fast. This one requires more effort on my part, more interaction, more work, it's more plastic. If the print goes bad, it's just more effort. That's all I can say, and more material. So these are going to be a little bit more, but they're available in the Etsy store. I just wanted to share that. These are setup models. And the idea is that you plug in a receiver right here, just like that, to your servo leads. So they plug in, and then you connect your battery to your receiver, and use your radio, and you can practice your setups. You can work on your flaps and on your ailerons, whatever, get your mixes worked out. That's the idea behind this model. It's a setup tool only, not meant to fly, although I know some people have tried. I do know that some people actually have tried, but it's not meant to fly. It's a setup model. Okay, so RCVR 2, the wood version, that one's a little bit cheaper in the store because it's easier and faster to make. And then I have RCVR 1, that's available in the store, and it'll come just like this, no hardware. It'll come just with the 3D printed plastic parts. One thing I'll point out on this one, just so you guys know, you'll notice that there is a fiberglass strap right here. I did that for rigidity. That's not part of the kit. I probably need to consider adjusting the model to include that, and I might, but it's not part of the kit. All I did was take a little 1x3 fiberglass strip, glued it on there, put a zip tie on there, and what I was aiming for was to make that empennage more rigid, right? So it doesn't bend. That was what I was after when I'm moving this. It's not necessary. It's just me being OCD about stuff. So there you go. I did want to point that out because, you know, PilotJam, you guys, again, where the cool kids hang out. So you get all the inside information here on what's going on. And see, that's just a little bit of hot glue. That's all I did. A little bit of hot glue there, a little bit there, a little zip tie, and that's perfect. Makes it perfectly rigid. What I need to do probably is to add that same thing in a 3D print right here. That would solve the problem. So I'll probably do that. I should adjust the model. I'll probably do that. Anyway, what I wanted to do is show you a couple of examples of what I'm doing in the source. So this is the RCVR 2. Right now I have two versions. I have the black and bone. This is a bone color. It's not straight white. This is a bone color version. So you see you get the stands and the flaps and the ailerons, rudder, elevator. It's all there. You have to thread them in. So you got to get your wife to loan you a sewing needle and you thread those on. That's how I did all of them. So here, we'll take a look at this one. See, you just use a little thread and needle and you thread them on there, right there. You just have to, it's just one of those things you just sit and do while you're watching RCVR videos on YouTube. Just thread it on there, knot it with some overhead knots. That's how you do it. You just thread those on there. And then it also has the stands, so you can glue the stands in. A little bit of hot glue again, just stick those in there, glue them on, and then it'll stand off the servos, and you have a nice little setup model. So there's the black and bone version. That's the one pair that I've got. That's on the store now. And then the other combo that I have is orange and translucent. So I'm going to show you the translucent because I like this one. It's kind of cool. I might build one of these for myself. See? It's translucent. Isn't that cool? Translucent. And these are the stands. So they go right in here in these slots. And you just glue those in there. You glue those in the slot. You do have to glue it. They're not press fit or anything. You have to, you know, they just slide in and out. But put a little hot glue or CA glue in there, and you get 3 stands, and you put one in each side, one here in the back, and then it'll stand up off the table. So these, again, available in the Etsy store. I just want to make you guys aware in case you were interested. I've had a lot of, and by the way, the other thing that I'll tell you, if you have your own 3D printer, the STL file for this is in the Discord, in the 3D channels or 3D printers channel. The one caveat I have for the STL, no commercial use. Don't use this on a YouTube channel if you didn't buy it. So that's not cool to do that. That's theft. So personal use, I don't care. Knock yourself out. You want to make one for the club, make one for your own use, that's fine. Download it, print it, have fun with it. If you don't have a 3D printer and you need one printed, $25 in my Etsy store, and I'll mail them out pretty fast. So there you go. Little 3D model planes for setups. They're handy. I use them when I'm testing. I use them quite often when I'm testing configurations and setups. That's why I have them completely set. That's why I did all this effort, right? Bound up my wires, zip tied everything. That's why. It's because I use them. I use them. I'm definitely, they're good tools to practice on. So that's why, that's the idea. Okay, that's it for RCVR 1. And next up, PC update. We already covered that. Ooh, we're on the QA update, which means we are rounding third, heading for home. Let me see. Let me check and see what's going on here. Small O-rings work good too. A smaller washer. There you go. There you go. See, that's the idea. Share information. My local Ace Hardware sells those washers. Very good. Yeah, I think EF has moved to that with some airframes. Good. Yeah, I have seen yes, we have seen the O-rings in certain screws on extreme flight planes. Yes. RCVR 2 without an ESC. No, I don't. You don't need an ESC. If you use depending on your servos, be careful. Be very, very careful. Depending on your servos. If your servos can take higher voltage, you can use like a 2-cell battery. These servos do not. So when I plug this one in, I do actually use a BEC. This is a, don't worry, don't pay any attention to that. That's just John messing around. So anyway, yeah, definitely use an ESC depending on your servos. And your receiver. Obviously, you need to, like in this case, this receiver is good between 4.5 and 8.4 volts. Maybe the big one will help. Maybe the big camera will help. See, this receiver is good for up to 8.4 volts. See that? So in this case, I could plug in directly using a dongle like this, but the servos cannot take that voltage. So if you plug these little generic Tower Pro 9-gram servos into anything above 5 volts, you run the risk of frying them. Ask me how I know. I did it to an entire RCVR model one time. Every servo, dead. So, yep, don't do it. You got to make sure you regulate your voltage at 5 volts for these. So I use either an ESC. Actually, what I really use for this most of the time is my desktop power supply. I've got my power supply right over there. I plug that in, hit it with 5 volts, connect it to a receiver, and I'm up and running. That's how I do it. But an ESC works, of course. You know, of course that works. That's a convenient way to do it as well. Okay, let's see. Any other questions? Small O-rings. Yep. Okay, got that. Do you hook the battery directly to the RCV? Yeah. Okay, there we go. We covered that, right? Yeah. It depends on your voltage. That's the answer. If your device can handle 8.4 with a 2-cell battery, then sure. Or if you can produce 5 volts on a battery, fine. You could do that too. You know, maybe wire a couple of, I don't know, 3 AA's in series or something. That might do it. That probably would get you there. You could do that as well. Okay. Let's see. I think that's it. So Q&A. Let's get to Q&A. Blackboard. Here we go. All right. So if you guys, if you haven't seen this segment before, what I do on Q&A is I go through the questions that I see in the YouTube comments, and I try and grab questions that might have interest to more than one person, more than just the person asking the question. So in this case, Jay Clausen 9863, he says, in reference to Extreme Flight, why is their stock so low? They have almost nothing in stock as far as airframes. And Apollo 111 says 5-volt Lion. Yes, it's the voltage that matters, not the chemistry. So if you can, just keep it at 5 volts and you're fine. So whatever chemistry you want, as long as it's 5 volts for these generic servos, yes, you're fine. Okay, so back to Jake's question. Why are they so low in stock? They have almost nothing in stock as far as airframes. So I'm not, Jake, when I answer this, trust me when I tell you, I'm not being a wise guy, but you've answered your own question. It's because they're that good. You know, this is the classic story of supply and demand, right? For these guys, demand is so high that they're outstripping their supply. So when it comes to Extreme Flight, I can tell you that strictly as an observer. I have zero inside information, but somebody who's highly interested in their portfolio of products, I keep an eye on what's going on. You know, I watch their website. I pay attention to the market. I talk to people who are in the hobby. You know, we find out what we can through different media sources, Facebook, and, you know, wherever else things get posted. And I keep an eye on what they do. And I can tell you that the answer to that question is their stock is so low because their products are that good that when they get posted, they get sold. That's all there is to it. I mean, right now, I actually talked to the owner. It's a real logistics operation to try and manage and predict and spend the money in the right places to get the products that he thinks people will buy. So it's a challenge, and he does the best he can. What I can say is I know the man works hard. I know that. So it's not like they're trying to, you know, artificially inflate demand or anything like that. I mean, I know they're working hard. So the answer to your question is it's the law. It's the law of supply and demand. The demand is high, and right now it's outstripping supply. Okay, so Ryan P 1356, I think he just mentioned that earlier. He did. Here he goes. Mine shows up today. How about that, Ryan? He's here on the PilotJam, and his question got answered, or his comment was shared. So mine shows up today. 67-inch laser receiver ready. I hope you have a lot of fun with that airplane, Ryan. It's a good choice, man. I'll tell you that. I'm very much looking forward to flying it. I'll be curious to see how it compares to the 60-inch. That's what I'm really curious to understand. So I hope you have a lot of fun with it. And it is a great airplane. And you will really thoroughly enjoy how it looks in the sky, too. That's another... I kind of talked about it in the first look video. I mentioned the graphics. It's an understatement exactly how good this plane looks in the sky. It's very, very discernible even from a distance. It's just a superb graphic scheme. So enjoy your plane. All right, Retset, he said, this is so much better in reference to the auto idle up. He said, so much better than the way I have it for a plane I use on scale comps where taxiing looks rubbish if the motor stops spinning. I just have some extra throttle on the switch along with all the forgetting type issues that this brings to the table. And that's exactly it, man. There are ways, you'll find out with me, if you watch my videos for any length of time, what you probably realize is that first off, when it comes to EdgeTX, there's always more than one way to do something. Like, I mean, there's always another way to do something. And I don't always take the easiest or simplest route. But I also try and avoid the most convoluted route. So what I'm looking for, I'll be honest with you guys, if you want to understand the method behind my madness when it comes to EdgeTX configurations, I'm looking for configurations that will work when I haven't touched that configuration in 3 months or 2 months. So in other words, when I come back to it, I want the plane to just work the way it's supposed to without me having to remember, oh yeah, when I'm flying this plane, I have to do an idle up. So I try and automate things and bake the configuration in so that it works with the model just by me operating the model as normal. That's the method of my madness. So sometimes it takes a little extra effort in the configuration to do that. So could I have made a curve with a switch and done an auto idle up? Of course I could have done that. But when I set that model down for 2 months and then come back to it, will I remember to do that when I'm out flying? That's the real question. And the answer is no, I don't. So that's why I do my configurations sometimes the way I do. It's to make sure that they work the way with the model, the way I work with the model, not that I have to remember something specific about the model. Okay, makes sense? Hope it makes sense. But yeah, it's definitely a very elegant configuration. It works great. Works really, really well. Oh, David Parker snuck in here. He says, very nice. Maybe one of these days we'll review a 74-inch one, which is also a new release in this color. He's not wrong. There is a 74-inch now. That laser is exceptionally good flying airplane. He has the 60-inch now. It checks all the boxes and all the sizes. Yeah, I agree. There's a reason. There's got to be a reason when they come up with when they start populating a specific airframe with all the different sizes, there has to be a reason behind that. Has to be. I just talked about this with supply and demand. So if you've got a known airframe like the Laser EXP that comes out suddenly in 2 new sizes and one of the first to get the RXR, among the first to get the RXR configuration, man, come on. There's got to be a reason for it. So just saying, Dave's not wrong. And the 74-inch, yeah, that might be compelling, right? That might be compelling. Just saying. We'll see. All right, this guy, Who Ate the Apple? That's funny. That is a funny nickname. He says, I watched your video, very helpful. This is on the Radiolink AT10-2 and R12DS, whatever that thing was, the Radiolink AT10-2, right? I have an opportunity to purchase this on sale for $50, totally within my budget. Should I go for it or should I get something else on Amazon? Look, man, my simple answer for me is look, if budget were the concern, 100%, I would get a Boxer without ever even thinking about it. That would be my radio. If budget is a concern and you can't go for the Boxer, then I would look at something like a Zorro at $100, right? I just don't, for me, the Radiolink ecosystem, I know they have stuff, right? They have some sensors, but here's the deal. This is what I try to help everybody understand over time. It's not open source. And I'm not standing here trying to say that open source is the best software solution in the world. What I am saying, and I continue to say about open source, is that we have a community. And in the community, we have developers that fly the airplanes, that get involved with the community, that talk to us about what we're doing with the software, with the hardware, that are interested in understanding how to incorporate our feedback into the final product. That is the power of open source. And the other thing about open source is that it's all done out in the open. Everything that they do is made plain and bare for the world to see. So that means if somebody comes in and says, hey, there's a better way to do telemetry, well, you can either pony up or shut up. So you can either pony up and do the work and get involved or make a recommendation. But if you have the ability to do it, you can make that contribution. And that's what's so strong about open source, right? There's no closed source ecosystem in the world that can claim that. Every one of these companies has a limitation on their software development budget. And in the open source world, we don't. The open source environment is limited by the time investment the development crews are willing to put into it. So for me, open source is the right answer because I think that's where the innovation is going to come from. I think that's where the precision will come from, where the accuracy, because they're hobbyists. They fly the planes, and I know the people. I've been interacting with the developers on both sides for a long time, and these guys don't take mediocrity for an answer. They're very, very precise about what they do. Again, it doesn't mean it's perfect, but you've got this army of resources willing to make the product better. So what I would say, if I were getting into this hobby from scratch today, there's no question, 100% in my mind, I would advise get into the open source ecosystem. Grab yourself an EdgeTX radio or even an OpenTX radio, and go from there. Get into Express LRS, learn the system, get involved in it, and you'll be rewarded with a environment that continues to evolve and develop and incorporate new features. Okay. I'm not saying we're the fastest. I'm not saying the open source community is the fastest in the world. They're not, because got to remember, these guys have day jobs too. So, they have to balance work life and their hobby with the reality of what the projects need. So just keep that in mind. That's why I never badger them about time. Never. Okay, next up, RE3065 says, may I ask what did he have set up for Expo and rates? So I answered the question, but let me just tell you guys from a guidance perspective, when it comes, there's two questions here that are in the same sentence, but they're two questions: rates and Expo. Rates, when it comes to rates, what I do is I go with the book first. So whatever the book for Extreme Flight. And when I say Extreme Flight, I have analogs. So Skywing is analogous to Extreme Flight. Certainly Legacy would be, although I don't have one. And the better airplanes like AJ, they would be analogous to me. So when it comes to these higher end airframes, I use what the book recommends first. I start with that. And so for rates, I always recommend the book. Now, depending on your flying, if you're going to get a 3D plane like this and you want to fly it in a 3D manner, there are two sets of rates you'll see. There's the 3D rate and what they call the XA rate. And the XA rate, I guess, I don't really know what XA stands for. Maybe Rob or someone on the, maybe Ryan, maybe one of you guys can keep me honest on this. But XA is like extreme 3D, tumbly, pitchy, floppy, flippy stuff. So that's XA. 3D is a little bit more sedate. It's not quite as flippy floppy, and maybe able to do a little bit more in the realm of precision, I guess. So when it comes to the rates, I usually go for the XA rates on the elevator and the 3D rates on the ailerons. It's usually how I set mine up to start, and then I tweak from there. So that's rates. And then now you can take these 3D planes and fly them in a sport manner. And in that model, they have what they call low rates. So on the configurations pages that they offer for the Extreme Flight planes, they show you the low rates, and there's something really small. So to give you an idea, just let me give you an idea. Low rates on the laser, the 67-inch laser for the aileron elevator, somewhere like 8 to 10 degrees, and high rates are like 40 to 50. So there's a huge jump between the two. But here's the deal. If you use low rates, it flies beautifully. Like if you take one of these planes, set it up with low rates and make it just a little bit nose heavy, this will be the best sport flying plane you've ever touched in your life. Okay, so great sport planes if you make them just a little nose heavy and add, just keep your rates down low. If you go up high in that 40 to 50 degree range, then obviously you're getting into 3D. So rates, I use book rates for Skywing, Extreme Flight type planes, and for Expo, normally around 70%. But that said, Expo is a very personal decision. I say this all the time, very personal. Expo is more about feel and where you need your sticks to be for you to feel comfortable. Just remember that Expo doesn't change the overall travel, only when that travel occurs. So just keep that in mind. All right, so Expo on these planes, I normally start between 65 and 70%. And for the record, I've mentioned this before, I'm getting away from dual rates on my planes. I'm going strictly to straight up one rate, basically, high rates with high Expo. That's what I'm doing. So there you go. All right, let's see. D-Birds21 says, so you have had the 67-inch and the 70-inch frames. Are you liking the 67 with the 6S power or the 70 with 12S? So I only have 170, and that's actually a 6S. I have the 70-inch slick that's 6S. I have a 73-inch slick that's 12S. So I guess I should make that comparison instead. So 67-inch with 6S or 73-inch with 12S. I would say that it's hard to argue with a single battery. That's all I can say. That's one of the main reasons I love the 67-inch frame so much, is because it's highly visible. The power plant is perfectly set for this size airframe, and it's one battery, a 6L5000 or a 6L4000, one battery. It's hard to argue with that. So I like that combo a lot, a lot. Very convenient, easy to handle at the field, all this stuff. So, but that said, it's really also quite fun to whip out a 73, 78-inch plane and have people look at it and go, wow. And then when you see it flying, it's very impressive. So it's kind of hard to say, man. I guess, you know, the answer is it's not that anyone's better or worse than the other. It really comes down to preference. It really does come down to preference. I try not to take the easy way out and dodge the question. You know, I really do, but this is really a preference thing. But like I said, man, the 67 with a single battery, oh, so hard to beat that combo. It's really good. But 78, 85s, those are very, very impressive planes when you take those out. All right, so Brandon says, do you recommend the 4-in-1 for a beginner getting into RC planes and maybe adding ELRS module in the future? So the interesting thing about this is that the 4-in-1 is, I used the 4-in-1 initially when I first got into the Radiomaster TX16S. I had the 4-in-1 for a long time. And then I finally migrated on my fixed wing environment all to Express LRS. So what I would say is that if you are just now getting into the hobby and you have no investment in other tech, just go right for Express LRS. There's no reason to do anything but Express LRS. It's got everything. You've got the serial only output receivers. So if you fly quads, you've got those. If you fly helicopters, you've got those receivers. Same thing, really. Serial only, CRSF or S-Bus to a fly barless. Same deal. Same concept. Like architecturally, it's the same exact thing. So you've got those receivers. You've got PWM. You've got 4-channel, 6-channel, 8-channel, 14-channel, and I'm working on my version, which is 16-channel. So you've got plenty of PWM options. No problem there at all. And you've got S-Bus out and CRSF out, even on PWM. So there's just, you know, like, why would you think of anything but Express LRS? Now, I know it's a new question. I get that. But my point is that if you were just getting in, start with Express LRS. Forget it. Forget all the other noise. You don't need it. You just need Express LRS. That's it. Now, let me modify my answer to say that if you are coming from another ecosystem, so in other words, you are Spectrum or Futaba or FlySky or something else, and you decide, yeah, I want to get into the EdgeTX and TX16S. Should I use a 4-in-1? The answer is probably you should, because what'll happen is by going with a 4-in-1, what'll end up happening is you'll be able to connect with a lot of stuff, not everything, but a lot. And so that way you don't have to necessarily go into your entire fleet of aircraft, you know, quads, helis, airplanes, whatever it is you've got, and change all of your receivers out in one fell swoop. You can migrate over, bind them with your new transmitter and your current receiver in most cases, and then over time, you can migrate your stuff, 1 receiver, 2 receivers at a time, until you're migrated to Express LRS. So the other option to consider too, by the way, is getting an internal ELRS module and an external 4-in-1. You can do that as well. So that way, if you buy the Express LRS radio, stick the external 4-in-1 in there, migrate your stuff over, and when everything's migrated and you're done, you take your 4-in-1 module out and sell it and keep your Express LRS radio. So that would be my answer. If I were migrating from another ecosystem, I would buy an Express LRS radio. I would stick a 4-in-1 module in the back. I'd migrate my fleet over to Express LRS over time. And when I was done and I had no more need for the 4-in-1 protocols, I would toss that on eBay and sell it and make somebody a nice deal. That's what I would do. Okay. And that brings us back up to the top. All right. Down at the bottom, Ryan P says, love their planes, hands down. Yeah, man. They're so good. They're just so good. it really is. It's very, I got to be honest with you guys, man. It's so hard for me as a reviewer to review extreme flight planes because part of the gig is you're supposed to find the problem areas. Like what are my complaints? And with extreme flight planes, I mean, and I'm not sponsored. I'm not sponsored. They offer me no discounts, no deals, no benefits, no nothing. I'm straight up retail, just like you. So I just love their products. What can I say, man? It is what it is. I love their products. So very good aircraft. Ryan says you're spot on with rates and Expo. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate that. Yeah, Expo, very much your thing. Rates, that's just depends on how you fly it and how you intend on flying it. Let's see. Apollo 1111 says, what if you're a beginner wanting to fly UMX BNI? See, that's what I'm talking about. And you do need a 4-in-1 if you're flying UMX. That's exactly right. But that said, I wouldn't, for me, I don't really care for the UMX planes. I would just buy a real plane, would put a real receiver in it. Like, go get an FMS Ranger or something. But, if your physical requirements limit you to a UMX build, then I understand. Sure. Of course, in that model, you need a 4-in-1, but still, I would still do an Express LRS radio with a 4-in-1 module. That's what I would do. And if you do an Express LRS radio and a 4-in-1 module, when you're done migrating, like right now, I have zero use for a UMX in my fleet, then I wouldn't need the 4-in-1. So that's how I would handle it. But fair question. Okay, that's it for Q&A. That brings us back to the desktop, and we're at the bottom of the hour, so we're right on schedule here. We're doing good. All right, let's see what's coming up. Okay, I told you guys at the beginning of the Pilot Jam, I feel like there's I feel like a tidal wave is coming. And the reason I'm going to tell you that is because I've got some hardware in my hands. I'm doing evaluation on right now. It's not released yet. So I've got that in my hands. I'm doing some work on that right now. I have a model that showed up at my front door today. It has not been released yet, and it's not going to be released. Well, I can't even say when. It's coming soon, though. I can tell you that. And it's a brand new model. No one in the public has seen it. I searched for it today. I couldn't find it. So and that's sitting here in my dining room right now in the foyer, sitting there. So that's coming. I also was contacted by FMS, and FMS said, hey, our F-86 Blaze Star is doing really well. Would you do a review on that for us? I said, sure, send it over. They're going to send that over. That's on the way. So I've got the Blaze Star coming. We got the 67-inch Laser Maiden coming up. That's going to be this weekend. And then Dave has got his 78-inch Extra NG Maiden coming up. That's going to be this weekend. And I'll be out there flying my 78-inch NG this weekend. So there's lots of things coming. Oh, and the gyro video, that's coming. I'll be working on that. I already ordered the gyro. It's on the way in. We're going to try that out. So there's a lot going on, guys. There's tons of material on the way inbound. There's no doubt. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's more going on out there in the market. We got 3.4 is on the horizon anytime now. 3.5 when they do that, we're looking at gyros. EdgeTX 2.1, 2.10, that's imminent. That could be any day now. It's kind of getting quiet over there. Like, we're all sitting here waiting for the GitHub to go, hey, we released it. So I'm just telling you, it's like there's a wave building offshore with a lot of water coming our way. So all I can say is hang tight, keep an eye on the channel. There is a lot of material inbound. I can promise you that. There's a ton. So that's what's coming up. This weekend, Saturday is a no-fly day. They've got the DLG event at my field, so I can't do that. I'm no longer a member at SES, so I'll be flying at SES on Sunday with Dave as Dave's guest. And we'll be doing our NG video and the laser video there on Sunday. So no flying on Saturday, so we're looking at Sunday. So that's it, and I'll try and hopefully get some flight videos up Sunday night. So hopefully you get at least maybe the laser video, the NG video. We'll see. We'll get some videos up hopefully Sunday, maybe Monday. We'll see what's going on. So plenty of content coming, guys, and work as ever is still quite busy. So I appreciate you guys being patient with me on the work front. I'm doing the best I can, but all I can do is promise you I'm putting in the time. That's all I can say. I'm not going to make excuses, but it's been a hectic work schedule lately. In fact, I was out of the country for 3 days this week and still managed to put some videos on and do the Pilot Jam. So yeah, it's just the way it is, man. That's my life. Life as a YouTuber. It's what you sign up for, right? That's why you don't get to complain. All right, fellas, that's all I've got for tonight. I hope you enjoyed the Pilot Jam. I hope you get an opportunity to get out there and fly something. I know I am. I'm looking forward to this weekend. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Make sure you get out there and fly something. That's all I've got for tonight. Take it easy.